So I want to talk today about idea mining. Collaborative journaling is the central activity of this happening, and the way we do that in Wiki is we catalog, maintain, extend, and connect ideas. And this is something that's not new, but it's likely different from what you're used to doing on social media. So let's start. Here we have a newsletter by Audrey Waters. And a short plug, if you don't get Audrey's newsletter on EdTech, go and subscribe now. But at the bottom of this newsletter, we see this story, right? And it's on shutting the fuck up, right? You can probably guess what this article is about. It's about this very Silicon Valley idea that dissent is best expressed through the production of consumer goods. And you know this drill. You criticize Khan Academy's approach to math because, you know, your daughter's being assigned homework on it. And the answer comes back from the alpha geeks and the theta wannabes. Hey, if you don't like it, stop complaining, STFU and build something. So this is an idea that I think is maybe an important idea. We go to this article, right? And we could do a couple of things here after we read the article. We could write up a description of it, right? We could say, you know, John Herman argues, discusses, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then we run some tags here. And then we store it and we never think of it again. Problem solved, right? We could go to Twitter. We could say, you know, hey, this is, you know, an awesome post, like, and share it with people. But I want to explore another option. What if we went to our journal and we go and we write up a new idea? This idea is going to be STFU and build something. We auto-create that page through the automatic linking, right? And now we're going to try to get the idea down, right? The very quick pass at the ideas. So sentiment often espoused by startup folks and financiers that ideas are just talk unless they're rendered in a product, right? And then I say, you know, under this philosophy, criticism of ideas has to be about producing products, right? So we come over here and we grab this URL. And we're going to put a link to this article, but we're not going to do it in the traditional way you do a link. Traditionally in a blog, you'd link inline and you'd have some sort of phrase or something that was linked to it. Here, we're just going to write it out, and the link just says HTML. And that link says, hey, if you click this link, you're going off the wiki, just to warn you, right? And that's important because if we need to explain something, we'd like to explain it in the wiki. I'm going through my other stuff, and I remember this idea, startup is the new corporate. And this was a post that I wrote based on something else I read, talking about how startups, for all the mythology around them, have been as systematized and de-risked as corporations are. And so, weirdly, we have these ideas of you know, startup mythology as being more than IBM, but to a certain extent, that's just not true. Thinking about it a little more, I remember there was something that Ward Cunningham wrote a little while ago, and I'm going to look for that. It was something about consumers and consumerism and citizenship. So I'm just going to, Ward is in my neighborhood here, so I'm just going to go down here and I'm going to search consumer, I guess. And there it is, consumer citizens. So Ward has named this in a way that I can use, right? Consumer citizens is an idea, right? Consumer citizens is this idea that we express ourselves, we express our citizenship through buying things, right? Through our consumer decisions. And what is that doing to our space, right? And so I write it up here, you know. I link this idea of STFU and build something, and I say, you know, it's an outgrowth of this thing that Ward has noticed, right? This shift to consumer citizens. And now if you look at this, this article has very quickly become the nexus of a number of ideas. And I've turned something that could have just been a summary into something where I'm iterating over some of the old posts that I've looked at and in connecting them. Okay, so final note, a lot of people have said, oh, well, this is great for academics, and as I think you've seen, it can be. It could be amazing. But it's also good for just thinking about other things. I was reading this oral history of Twin Peaks the other day, and the subject of Killer Bob came up. And what's amazing about Killer Bob is that Killer Bob in Twin Peaks, although he's the center in some ways of the story, was a mistake. Lynch filmed a scene, caught a reflection of a prop guy in the scene, and he looks at that and he thinks, this is an interesting idea. So for me, this is an example of what I might call reactive creativity, looking at mistakes and seeing the potential in those mistakes, seeing mistakes as opportunities. And so I write this up and I say Killer Bob, an example of reactive creativity and oral history of Twin Peaks, etc., etc. And you notice that this is not, if you go to Wikipedia and you look at Killer Bob, this isn't going to be the description of what Killer Bob is. But to me, Killer Bob, at this moment in my life, Killer Bob is an example of an example of this idea of reactive creativity. And so we can even set this up further, right? We can even say, well, let's go and make reactive creativity a subject. And let's just leave it. If someone else wants to write up the thing on reactive creativity, they can write it up. But these ideas can be about anything. They don't have to be about social media. They don't have to be academic. It's just a way of thinking about things. And if we want to take the position that only academics think about things, that's great. But I don't think that's true. I think that there are plenty of ideas that most people have that could be captured, extended, and connected in this framework. And so that is collaborative journaling. That is idea mining. Thank you for sitting through this with me. And that's it for today.